So here are the four spheres. I've put logos on these two. This one has a default Lambert shader on it. I'm going to demonstrate now how to use the UV editor and Photoshop to put the logo on this one. So when I look at the UV editor, I see my UV map, and under image I'm going to go to the very bottom to an option that says UV snapshot. Now the UV snapshot is going to take a picture of what's inside this quadrant. Remember, we always said that this quadrant is the only area that an image can be positioned in. So it's going to take a picture of that entire quadrant. I have it set to 2048. I'm using a TIFF format because I tried to use a PSD format and it wasn't. It wouldn't work. It wouldn't show up in Photoshop. So I chose TIFF. There are other. You probably could get away with a JPEG, to be honest with you, especially for an animation because it's smaller. But what I would suggest you do instead is go with a TIFF, and then you can save it to an animation later or convert it to a JPEG later and then put it on. And we'll see how we do that now. So I've already arranged for the path to go into the render data shaders, and it's going to be called snapshot logo. I'm going to say apply and close. I think it's going to tell me there's one already there. I'm going to say overwrite it so that we have a fresh start. Go into Photoshop. Now, this is not like last time where it opens up automatically. I have to find it. So I'm going to say open, and I'm looking for snapshot logo. Okay. And same idea we saw before. All I'm getting now is that grid, or I'm sorry, that UV map. So I'm going to create a layer just like we did earlier, and I'm going to make that layer. I'm going to fill it with a 50% gray so I can see the UV map as easily as possible. And then I'm going to place my I'm going to place as an embedded file, not as a link, but as an embedded file, the logo I created in Illustrator. And that logo is actually under my source images. This is what it looks like. It's an RGB format. I'm going to take it as a page. And then I didn't really spend a lot of time, but I did look at it. Sorry. I want to scale it. I'm going to lock my scale so I can make it larger. And put it right about here. And then I'm going to change the background color to, I'm going to fill this now with that kind of pale vanilla color, if you will. It's like an ivory. It's right here. I'm going to hide the UV map, and I'm going to save this file. Now these are all options based on the TIFF format. I don't want to compress this at all. I can leave the rest of them pretty much where I want. I can do Mac or IBM, seems to work fine. So I'm going to say OK. It's going to tell me, including the layers, I'll make it bigger. I'm going to say OK. And like I said, we could actually probably best use a JPEG since we're doing a moving object. But so right now, like I said, that sphere or ball has a Lambert on it. I think I have. Let's just start from scratch so you guys can see. I'm going to take this Arnold shader, And again, I'm going to make an AI standard. Okay. We'll call it AI. Well, let's not confuse ourselves. Let's call it logo snapshot. I'm going to say 02 because I don't know if I have one up there from the other one. Okay, so now I'm looking for the same position, this color swatch, and I'm just going to say give me a file. So I can say 2D file, and now I have a file. Now look, it's all attached. Okay, the placement and the node is attached, out color. What it needs though is a file, right? So I'm going to go get that TIFF file we just made, and that looks to be it right here. Okay, and then we want to make sure that we put that one on the ball. So we want to find, hey, I don't know why it's not letting me pick it, so I'm just going to say, what do we call it? Snapshot, logo, snapshot, logo, okay. Let's see. My Maya is just flipping out now, it's not letting me. Let's see what happens when we render that. Okay, it put it put it on the ground instead of the ball. So let's assign that to the selection. For some reason I can't get the ball now. Let's go into the outliner. Okay, let's try using this. Now let's see what we get. Okay, so we got what we want. The problem is, as you can see, even though we put it right on, it's distorted by the way the UV map is wrapped around that shape. So to get it a little closer to what we want, we're going to have to fuss a little bit in Photoshop. So I'm going to make it tall and skinny and maybe move it up a little bit, and hopefully that will give us so I'm going to take off or deselect a lock, make it taller, thinner, and I'm going to raise it up so it's a little higher on the ball. Tell it, I'm going to right mouse and say place it, then say file save. Then I come back to Photoshop, and what I want to do is make sure the ball is still selected, and I'm going to go to the attribute editor. I don't know why Maya's giving me such a hard time about this silly ball, but go to the attribute editor if I can find it. Yeah, there's the attribute. Oops, I had it. I'm sorry. There's the attribute editor. I'm looking for the shader. I'm looking for the file, and I'm going to say reload. And then kind of missed what my target. Oh, that came out pretty well. Now, obviously, you can keep adjusting this if you want to make it smaller. It probably could actually be just a little thinner. I don't know if it has to be any taller, to be honest with you. So, again, right mouse, say place, file save. Back to Maya, make sure the ball is selected. go to the file and reload it, and then drag a box, and there you go. Now we've got a ball that, or at least a logo that looks pretty correct, and it's got a highlight on it, and you can certainly, as that ball spun in the course of its journey, you would certainly recognize its rotation.